In today's show, we're talking the future in Rip City. I went and saw the G League Ignite up close, and I want to talk about some first-round draft picks that I got my eyes on this week. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, I ventured out to the Chiles Center in beautiful North Portland, beautiful St. John's, to see the Rip City Remix take on the G League Ignites for a chance to see potentially 3 lottery picks, almost certainly 3 first-round picks in person this week. I want to talk about what I saw from Ron Holland and Buzelis and Tyler Smith, and the rest of my G League experience. That's what we'll do to begin the show, and then we'll close it with what you need to know, little bits and pieces, including an all-star starting nod for your boy, old friend Damian Lillard. Let's get into the scout, though. First, like an obvious caveat here. I'm just some dude. I watch a lot of basketball. I've always watched a lot of basketball since I was a small person. I've watched a lot of basketball. I'm now an older person, and I watch a lot of basketball. But I'm not like a pro scout. This is certainly not what I'm best at by any means. But I have opinions, and I do spend a lot of my time watching the sport, so certainly not an expertise. And I think really what I mean by that is like guys who do draft stuff professionally have like the breadth of all prospects in mind because they've seen tape, they've talked to folks they know, so they can like think about these players in relation to the 60 or 70 other people who are like in that sort of draft range. Obviously, only 60 of them get selected. Usually, it's like 58 because the NBA like docks second round picks for some stupid ass reason. But like I don't have the breadth of a top 100. Like I just don't know players like that. But I feel relatively comfortable watching guys and saying, like, these are my impressions. So what this show is are my impressions. I want to talk Ron Holland, who's going to be a first-round pick, a lottery pick. Buzelis, who's likely to be a lottery pick. And Tyler Smith, who wouldn't surprise me if he is up there, too, based on sort of what I gather about the 2024 draft class, which is that there's a lot of role players in it. It's not a lot of stars, but a lot of role players in it. Let's start with Holland because he was by far the best player on the court. Maybe not by far. Ashton Hagans was pretty good, and I thought George Condit, he doesn't jump, but he's like physical and gets it done. But Holland was by far the person who popped as like, if you didn't know, I think a good. I went with a friend who's worked in the basketball world and worked in the sports world for a while, and it's like we talked about sort of the best way to scout these guys is to be like, say you had no idea, say you didn't go in with any names, just like. Judging on what you saw tonight, who would you say, oh yeah, that's probably a future NBA guy? Holland passed that test easily. Holland is listed at 6'8" and was advertised to me coming into this game as like a power forward type of athlete. I think he's a shooting guard in the NBA. He's like 6'5". There is so Mo Harkless played in this game. Former Blazer great Mo Harkless. Mo Harkless like 6'8", 6'9". Ron Holland is significantly smaller than Mo Harkless. Mo Harkless wasn't quite big enough to play power forward in the NBA, and Ron Holland is significantly smaller than him. He's a teenager. He's got he's whatever, a few months removed from high school and not quite a full year from graduating high school, but like. He's a 2, I think. He could probably play small forward and be fine. He's like somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6", but he's not big. Like he looks like a shooting guard to me. That was the number one thing. Doesn't mean that he wasn't athletic. Didn't mean that he didn't have some nice plays, had some rebounds in traffic. And he had the Ignite played on Monday and they played on Wednesday. On Monday, the Ignite got blown the hell out, and my friends and some listeners who were in attendance all reported that the draft prospects were bad, that Holland was bad and Buzelis was bad, and that Tyler Smith was young big man was the most intriguing player. But I went on Wednesday, the second game of the set between the Remix and the G League Ignite. The Remix being the Portland's G League affiliate who plays at the Chiles Center, home of the University of Portland Pilots. So I went on Wednesday. Holland was good. Like, he finished with 31 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals and a block. He had 4 turnovers, committed some fouls, and at the end he got into some unnecessary beef. He was beefing at the end, and kind of like getting in some fracases. And maybe you star fracas as this dude plays with an edge, but I started as like, this guy's losing and he's mad about it. Poor fella. But gets rebounds in traffic. Like, he shot well in this game. 4 of 6 from 3. I know the knock on him is that he can't shoot. The first time he got an open 3 in this game, wide open at the top of the key, clang, hard off the back right rim. I didn't come away thinking like, oh, he can shoot, everyone's wrong. I thought like, he shot well tonight. He did. But the athleticism is there. The ball handling is there. A first step to get himself into the paint. He's competitive. Like, he looks like an NBA player. He's just a wing. He's a 2. Or a 2. He's like a 2. He's certainly like a 2-3 as opposed to a 3-4. And that might change my opinion of him as in terms of a Blazer prospect. If he was 6'8" and like couldn't really shoot but defended really well and could could slash and get to the paint and like played with the intensity and physicality that he does, I would be all in on him, right? Because he's like big power forward who can hoop and guard multiple positions. If he is like 6'5", which I think he is, just looking at him, I didn't measure him. He was announced as 6'8" in the starting lineup, but I didn't go out there with the measuring tape or the laser or anything. Like, I'm just watching him play. If he is 6'5", I'm a lot less excited about him as specifically a member of the Blazers. Wouldn't mean that I would say don't draft him. Like, they just need talent. Draft as many talented players as you can get. But the sort of just like easy fit excitement, I feel like would dwindled a little bit with Holland. But he can handle the ball which is important because he's a guard. But he can handle the ball. He has a physicality and the athleticism to like that. He clearly looks like an NBA player. Had a couple rebounds in traffic rather in the first half, where it's like, oh yeah, he's like physical and has that just ability to get off the floor and get up and get it in space. Sam Vecini wrote about this today in The Athletic. There just aren't that many bigs in the NBA, or in the G League rather. All like the true bigs, like true rim protector athletes, they're like gone. They're out of there. They're in the league. Hence, like, Moses Brown and Ibubaji are sitting on the Blazers bench and not in the G League because like you need those players. So there's not like this like elite rim protection that would like is a good test for what Holland can be as a guy who's pretty much only a slasher. But I thought he was solid. He passes the easiest obvious test. Do you look like an NBA player? In my one look at him, absolutely, and I trust all the other scouts. ESPN has him at 11 on their big board, and my man Rafael Barlow of Locked on NBA Big Board has him at 9. So like he's gonna be in that late lottery. He's definitely should the Warriors end up in that sort of late lottery section, if the Warriors pick rather that the Blazers have top 4 protected in 2024, then Holland might be right in that range. But also I've seen him in Yahoo climb up all the way into the top 5. So maybe with the Blazers' own pick, they might have to decide to take Holland early. To me, I think like in one night, do I feel like I'm confident that he'll be a good NBA player? No, I have no idea. But I think he was obviously, of the players you watched on the court, if the names were off the back of the jerseys, you'd be like, yeah, that's the best player on the court. That dude's the future NBA player. It was that obvious. Okay, he's the big one. He's the headliner. He's the guy who looked like a lottery pick, no question. Some other guys: Matas Buzelis, Tyler Smith, Ethan Amanza. Let's talk about them and the rest of the G League Ignite guys in the second segment. But before we get there, let's talk eBay Motors. I want to help you build a championship team, and they've teamed up with your boy Joshy at Locked On Fantasy Basketball, the host of Locked On Fantasy Basketball, Josh Lloyd, bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for DFS, daily fantasy player, or you're a season-long waiver wire scourer, such as myself, you're going to want to listen to Josh because he's going to pick out the eBay Guaranteed Fit fantasy picks of the week, and he's going to help you win your league or win the day. Josh's got an eye on a certain Portland Trailblazer this week, and it's Jabari Walker. Jabari solidified himself in the starting lineup. Like, he clearly deserves to play. He's been more impactful and effective than Toumani Camara in that role. Toumani does different things, but what Jabari does as a rebounder and as a hustle guy is like just like needed. They need him. They I don't know, desperate, because I don't think it's that kind of team, but they need what he does. He complements, his strengths complement Jeremy Grant's weaknesses, i.e. he rebounds, Jeremy Grant doesn't. The shooting might not always be there, but Walker is going to play a bunch of minutes, and he is, as Josh points out, a double threat each and every night. So if you need someone to fill the rebound categories and score, 12 to 13 points on at least decent efficiency and make a three here and there, plus the random defensive stats with a steal and a block because my man hustles around, maybe not one every night, but a couple each week, why not add Jabari Walker to your fantasy team? Josh Lloyd, the host of Locked On Fantasy Basketball, is going to help you win your fantasy league. It's going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows that a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit, and it's the same with your vehicle. So with over 122 million parts to choose from for your ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Whether you need brake lights, whether you need LED headlights, whether you need a roof rack, whether you need a new bumper, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, these prices, you're burning rubber, baby, not cash. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That's eBay Guaranteed Fit. It's available to U.S. customers only. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right. Ron Holland undoubtedly walking the gym in something that is, it's professional basketball. It's clearly high-level basketball. I think the Remix play hard as hell. They play a very physical brand of basketball. Shout out to my man Jim Moran, coaching them to play hard. And Ron Holland in that environment looks like an obvious, surefire future NBA player. The rest of his teammates, I don't know. One game, one night. I saw Ron Holland, according to this official G League box score I'm looking at over here. He played 29 minutes and 48 seconds. I got just shy of a half hour of Ron Holland in person. I've read the scouting reports. I've watched a little bit of video. I've talked with my man Rafael Barlow, both on and off mic, about him. I believe. I'm not sure I believe the other guys. Matas Buzelis was going to be this high-level recruit, high-level star recruit that people were excited about if he had gone to play college basketball. But he decided to go the professional route and go play for the G League. And he's big. He's listed at 6'11". It's another G League thing. I don't know about those listed heights. He's like 6'9"-ish. Certainly not 6'11". I don't know how tall he is. Certainly not 6'11". But he wasn't good. The box score stats aren't particularly good. 8.6 boards. 3 of 6 from the floor. Missed his only 3. I don't remember him taking it. But no, I do. It was a right wing 3 in the second half. But he had 2 of his baskets were pretty memorable. He got a grab-and-go rebound and went the length of the court and finished in semi-traffic. Bad transition defense. But, he's big, 6'8", 6'9", and grabs a rebound, dribbles 90 feet at full speed, and finishes off the glass with a layup. Like, that is a skill set at his size that is really intriguing. And then he had a putback dunk where he jumped over everybody and got up to 12 feet and just crammed home a dunk. Again, there's not super huge leapers in the G League, and certainly not on the Remix as currently constructed. But still, he jumped up well above the rim, grabbed a one-handed punch dunk, and that was 2 of his 3 made field goals. Can't tell you what the other one was, but I think he was he did not pass if you didn't know his name, would he be an NBA type of prospect test. They tried to post him up, and the physicality knocked him off his spot, and he took one tough fadeaway, another one where he couldn't catch it because he got knocked off his spot, another one where they cheated over the top, and he spun around off of the post up and got to the rim and just got swallowed up at the rim, got a shot blocked, eaten alive, didn't have a chance. He's big and pretty fluid at his size, but I think the physicality wasn't quite there for him, and the shooting stroke wasn't there for him. And from what I understand, reading the G League box scores, he hasn't shot well at all with the G League. He was supposed to be like a shooter, and then have some secondary skills. And it seems more like he's a skilled slasher connector type wing who needs the shooting to pop in order to be a player in the NBA. I think that's a little concerning. ESPN has Buzelis at 10. Raphael had on his NBA big board at Locked in NBA big board. Raphael Barlow, that is, of Locked in NBA big board, has him at 4. And Raphael said on this show last week that if Buzelis were to hit his ceiling, he might be the best player in this draft. But he's skeptical that he hits his ceiling. I mean, I think it's safe to say skeptical that any of us in our line of work hit our ceiling, right? That's life. We're all doing our best. So Buzelis, to me, is he an NBA player? I don't know. I didn't see enough of it. In the official box score said I saw him play for 20 minutes and 10 seconds. No, didn't pass the smell test, but I'm going to trust the scouts. I'm sure Buzelis is going to be a lottery pick. I'm sure if he's there now at this 4 through 10 range from the folks I trust, ESPN and Raf, like, yeah, he's probably going to end up being he's not going to fall like 15th or 17th, even if the wheels continue to not run smoothly in the G League. But to me, in my brief scout, no way. No way could I easily say he's an NBA player. I'll say that, but I trust he will be. The other guy is Tyler Smith. He's like a 6'10 power forward type. I would say my biggest concern with Tyler Smith is that the position he plays doesn't exist in the NBA. It's not really power forwards. He's not, just looking at him, he's not big enough to be the backline anchor defender center type. And watching him, he didn't have the ball skills, like ball handling, passing, sort of fluidity to be a natural wing. So he's a 4. But there aren't really like big 4s in the NBA. That's just like a position that doesn't exist in the league. What that is a backup, right? That's a role player. But Tyler Smith shot it well, and the shot looks good, plays with physicality, sets physical screens, totally competent and competitive on defense. He played really well on Monday, and a couple different listeners and a friend who was in attendance told me that he looked like the best player in the G League in the Monday game against the Remix. And on Wednesday, he looked solid. His box score numbers, he finished with 16 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, did commit 5 fouls, but he blocked 3 shots. Like he's competitive and good and inside. Again, like, the size in the G League is just not, in this particular game, not quite there. Like George Condit for the Remix is like just a big physical presence, but he doesn't jump. Like he's ground bound, and so like he was pretty dominant in terms of just being stronger and bigger than folks around the rim. But he's not like leaping and getting up to 13 feet and making it a problem. I kind of think Smith will not be that in the league. I think like he just seems like a power forward, not quite a center. And to me, I just don't think that position exists. So I think he's a role player backup type, but based on what folks told me who saw him Monday, and based on what my like very brief, let's go to the box score, 21 minutes and 10 seconds of watching him play, yeah, I think he's an NBA role player. Like he passes the test, no problem. The last guy I want to talk about here is Ethan Almanza. He was supposedly going to be a lottery pick. I guess from the reports from ESPN and also from Raphael Barlow, Almanza was dominant in international play in FIBA contests over the last 2 seasons. Like a really, really good teenager in that level. He looked awful. On Wednesday night, he looked awful. ESPN has him at 23. Raphael's got him at 28. If you didn't know any better, you would not think he's one of the NBA lottery types, NBA first round types. Just does not have the physicality to play against big physical pros, and the skill stuff, just like simple passes, like the accuracy from when they run the. I'll use some scout stuff. I'll use some X's and O scout stuff. When they run the delay action, what I'm talking about is when they let the big guy touch it at the top of the key and then they run action from that. When he gets to the top of the key, like even just the pass to the wing, get it and swing it to the wing. He's just throwing bad passes. He's giving bad handoffs to very underwhelming G League Ignite point guard London Johnson. If Ethan Almanza is a first-round pick in this draft, I believe all of the rumors that this is a bad draft. The only other guy that kind of caught my eye in this one was Babacar Sane. He's a physical forward with good wingspan. He shoots every time he touches it. Every time he touched the ball in the game, he shot it. Which respects, you're not there for life's short, get him up. But like, they were running some stuff, and it was like, oh, well, every time 4 gets it, he shoots, and every time 4 got it, he shot it. So there was some plays when I wish that the ball had swung back and we'd seen a second action. We didn't see it. I think those are the only sort of NBA-ish type guys that were on the G League. I will say, just very briefly, I enjoyed the remix experience. It was not... you get to sit super close to see relatively high basketball. I did not go as a media member. I went as a fan. I drank a beer. I sat close. It was fun. Like, the only difference, if I got a media member, I wouldn't drink a beer. I might have dressed a little nicer. But like, you get to sit close and see relatively high level basketball. I enjoyed it. And will I go to a bunch more games? No, but I will probably go to one. That's maybe exaggerating. I'll probably go to one each season from here on out, because I watch a lot of basketball in my free time anyways. I don't need to add the remix to my weeknight schedule. I'll watch on TV like the rest of it. Okay. Let's do some bits and pieces, head you into the weekend with the news you need to know, including Damian Lillard All-Star starter. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Grammarly. They want to help you write. They want to help you make writing easier. That's their goal. And listen, they've been doing it forever. When it comes to writing, Grammarly is there to support you from start to finish. They've got over a decade of making it happen. Initially, when this product was introduced, it was a thing that helped you write better grammar. It was basically a spell check widget that you could add onto your website or web browser of your choosing. But now they got even deeper tools powered by AI technology you can trust to help you when you need to write, help you get going and help you stay going. What you can start by brainstorming ideas. It can rewrite things for you. It can reply with suggestions based on your context and your goals, and it can improve your productivity for you and for your team. So use it at work. You got a big presentation coming up? Let Grammarly create a personalized outline to get you organized so you can transform your ideas into a compelling presentation. Or say you just need to draft like a really important email and you don't know where to start. Grammarly has suggestions to jumpstart your writing. And then once you get going, it can shorten it. It can say you can select some text and give Grammarly a prompt, and they can improve your writing, make it clearer, make it shorter, make it better. The best part is it's free to use. So start being more productive at work. Start being a better writer. Go to Grammarly.com/podcast to download for free today. That's Grammarly, GRAMMARLY.com/podcast. Check it out. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Let's get some news and notes to head you into the weekend. You're listening to Friday, January 26th show. I appreciate you. Here's what you need to know. The Blazers are not actually going to protest the final call from OKC this week. The final seconds on Tuesday evening were controversial when Malcolm Brogdon got trapped at midcourt. Was called for a double dribble. Chauncey Billups was trying to call timeout. Malcolm Brogdon claims he was trying to call timeout as well. A timeout was not awarded to your Portland Trailblazers. Instead, Malcolm Brogdon, who did double dribble, was called for a double dribble, but he double dribbled after Billups tried to call timeout. Turnover. Billups gets 2 techs and gets run out the game. OKC made a jumper right after that. If Billups doesn't get techs, like I've seen a lot of people blame Billups, he lost the game because of the techs. If say there's no techs, just turnover. J-Dub came down and made a bucket. OKC was down 1. They win the game by 1. That's how it ends. Or at least the Blazers have to, draw up a play and have a chance at it, and they didn't. They failed the other time too with limited time remaining. So in any case, the Blazers, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, are not actually going to file a protest. They made it clear. They made it public. They got us talking about it. I did 20 minutes on the podcast about it because it was a frustrating way to end a really entertaining game, but the Blazers aren't actually going to protest it. The thing is, you submit the protest. You have a window to submit the protest. you get like a week or 5 business days or whatever it is for the NBA to review it and then to respond. Blazers had a 48-hour window from when they said, okay, we're going to file a protest to actually submit the protest, the video and the writing, and then pay the league to review it. It's like negligible money for billionaires, but you got to like actually go through the process, and they've decided not to because they weren't going to win it anyways. It's just a formality, and really what they wanted to do was they wanted to whine in public. I whine on this show all the time. If there's anyone who supports whining in public, it's me, baby. So mission accomplished. They weren't going to get it back. The win, the loss doesn't matter for them. The loss is good, probably in the grand scheme of things. But like they wanted a headline in ESPN that says Blazers mad about the call. You know what Adrian Wojnarowski wrote that night, published it about 10 p.m. West Coast time. Blazers mad. Blazers mad. It's mission accomplished there. I will say the NBA's last 2-minute report came back from that one, said everything was clean, everything was good, that the referees didn't see the timeout, so they didn't grant the timeout, and Malcolm Brogdon was rightly called for a double dribble. Wah, wah. Of course, that was how it's going to go down. That's what you need to know about that one. What you need to know, we'll never have to revisit it again. It'll just be an annoying memory from a Tuesday night in January. The other thing you need to know, Damian Lillard starting the All-Star game for the first time in his career. Now, this isn't Trailblazers news, and you can tell that because it's at the 26-minute mark of the podcast. If it had been Trailblazers news, and we would have led with it, y'all, but those days are behind us. Damian Lillard in his first year with the Milwaukee Bucks, officially a starter. He joins Tyrese Halliburton in the East backcourt and Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid as your Eastern Conference starters. In the West, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are your backcourt starters. LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Kevin Durant start in the front court. I think the East is pretty much correct. Dame won a tiebreaker over Jalen Brunson, and the tiebreaker comes down to the fan vote. And that's right, another loss for big markets. They just can't. It's just so hard for large markets in the NBA to have stars on their team like the New York Knicks, and Jalen Brunson just doesn't have enough fans. It's just a real challenge for big market teams to compete with the stardom of the Midwest. That's right. Damian Lillard of the Milwaukee Bucks finished third in the fan vote. Jalen Brunson was fifth. Trae Young was second. If you're scoring at home, and fan vote is your tiebreaker. Damian Lillard starting the All-Star game for the first time in his career. Congrats to Dame. I think they got it right in the East. Like, I think you could make a case that Brunson's been better than Dame. Dame's definitely an All-Star this year, no question about it. But starter, it's like hard to parse. Dame's been really good, but worse than he's been he's not shooting as well as he has in the past. And Brunson's been great. He's been incredible. I don't think it's that big of, to me, isn't that big of a deal because you won't remember it. Like you only remember it if you're like a dork like me and the dork like you who's listening. Shout out to my dorks. But like, I think it's fine. In the West, I probably would have had Kawhi Leonard or Anthony Davis, but I think Kawhi Leonard over LeBron. LeBron's been incredible. LeBron's made his 20th All-Star game. He's earned he's made 20 straight All-Star games, and he's played at an All-Star level for 20 straight years. Like All-Star starter, whatever. He's not starter quality for me this year, but All-Star, yes. LeBron James unquestionably an All-Star this year. He's been great for 20 years. So it's outrageous. It is truly outrageous. I think they mostly got it. I think they got it right in the West. I think Luka and Shai are the best two guards. Obviously, I think Jokic is a lock, and KD has been incredible lately. He's a lock for me. So I probably would have bumped Kawhi over LeBron, but it's all good. Kawhi's going to make it on his own, and these they got it right too. I think for the most part. I think Dame is the only one I would quibble with, and I barely have a quibble. It's cool. I'm happy for him. He's dude's got an impressive resume, and he just added to it. The only other thing you need to know, injury report stuff. Malcolm Brogdon is on the injury report. Blazers this evening, they finish up a road trip with a game against the San Antonio Spurs on Friday evening, and Malcolm Brogdon added to the injury report as questionable. No one else knew, still no Moses Brown, still no Rob Williams out for the year, but Shaedon Sharp's out until he'll be reevaluated. He could be his reevaluation would be next week. It would be as soon as next week. So conceivably he could come back when the Blazers have a couple games in town against Chicago and then Damian Lillard's Milwaukee Bucks next week. So conceivably Sharp could return as soon as that. Will be reevaluated in 2 weeks timeline, but I wouldn't be surprised if they reevaluate him and he's out for a little bit longer. Wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and plays Wednesday nights. But Malcolm Brogdon questionable on the injury report with a right knee contusion. Blazers don't have a lot of guards because of their current situation. So if he doesn't play, we may see more Taze Moore than you're ready for, or just like a lot of Jeremy Grant dribbling. And I think that's much more likely than Taze Moore moving into the rotation, is just like a lot of Matisse Thybulle playing too, and a lot of Jeremy Grant dribbling, and some Scoot and Ant minutes, which I've been clamoring for. So, we'll see that experiment not work very well, and I'll get my wish. That's what you need to know. That's the show. Guess what? 5 more of these next week. I'm trying to line up a fun interview that you will want to see early next week and another one for late next week. So that's 2 of them on the docket. That's what we do. Damian Lillard's going to be in town next week. That's a very big and important and probably weird game. I'll have you covered on the front end and the back end for that one, and all things you need to know as we get closer to a week away. Next week will be a week away. We're about 2 weeks now from the trade deadline. It's here. Check out the show. Tell your friends to do the same. I haven't done this in a million years. I'm gonna do it now. If you are listening to this show right now on a Friday or whenever you listen to it over the weekend, and you made it to the very end, to the part where I plug stuff, tell a friend. I think this is like we're in the algorithm generation where it's like, oh, it'll just be recommended to them and they'll find it. But I like, do me this solid. If you are listening to this right now, you listen to my voice within the sound of my voice, as some of my favorite podcasters like to say, go tell someone about the show. Like just a word of mouth recommendation. If you have a Blazer fan in your life, say, hey, have you listened to Locked On Blazers? I enjoy it. I think you would too. Do that. Come back next week. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.